Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
Nothing comes upon my life, nothing comes upon your life that doesn't go through His filter, that He allows to come for however the reason, and He allows to go for whatever the purpose. And I can rest in that today because there's just some things, I'll be honest, I don't understand. I just don't. And I can read 31,102 verses, and I can weave all the networks together and thread them into doctrine and theology, but there's still certain things I just don't understand this.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and right. By the light of the word.
Life brings us questions we can't always answer. Why certain hardships come, why prayers seem delayed, why pain lingers. Yet in the middle of it all, we can rest in one unshakable truth. Nothing touches our lives without first passing through the hands of a loving God. The same God who offers grace and longs that none should perish. In today's message, Pastor Ray reminds us that even when we don't understand the why, we can trust the one who says what may come and what must go. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of Revelation chapter 6 for today's edition of Light of the Word.
Chapter 6 of Revelation, verse 1 is going to start with these words. Now I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." We all know that there's a storm coming when the thunder starts to rumble. And here is the thundering that's going to begin as we start opening these seals before us. And hence why I wanted to make sure that we spent this time knowing who we are in Christ, who He is, what His heart is for us, and what we can boldly come to the throne of grace and ask for in our time of need. And seeing the throne and seeing that our God is on it and it's an immovable throne. But as these things start to unfold, I just know because the Word said so, that there's going to be these birth pains. We're going to see them. These things are going to be unfolding, and we see the continual glimpse and glimmer of them. And so let's read our passage now. Verse 1, I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, "Come and see." Another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that the people should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. Verse 5, and when he opened the third seal, I heard a living creature saying, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine." And now the fourth seal. When he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of 4 living creatures saying, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed with him, and power was given to them over a fourth of the earth, it's 25%, to kill with a sword, and with hunger, with death, and by the beasts of the earth. Yes, some heavy unfolding here that happens. But as we start and when we end, what's the application? Why do we do this? And why would we go through this and read such things, especially when we believe we're not going to be here, which we won't, because what is before us now, the rapture has happened. We're out of here. We're before the throne of God. But this is what's going to be unfolding while we're before and beholding him. Like Bible prophecy, why do we study? It's not given to scare us, but to prepare us. And it's not given to frighten us, but to invite us. He's inviting us into something. He's inviting us into a peace which passes understanding. And he's inviting us into a role that he's made us as we're going to be co-reigning with him in the millennial kingdom. We'll talk about that when we get there. But well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in the little things. I'll make you ruler over many. And so there's an application why we do what we do and how we're used and witnesses of him. But there's this place in the great calling, and we get to live and make a life of intercession. And here's very focused to what we need to pray for those who've been left behind. But here we start with this passage today, and then how we know that we can pray. We see the glory of God and his power, and that he's holy, and he provides a way for us to be out of this, which is the world gets what it asks for. As I say about America, sometimes you get what you vote for. And well, here we see the world's getting what it's voted for and asked for, as it wants a world without rules. It wants a world without the Christian. It wants the world without God on the throne. And this is what this world will look like, what we just read. It's not good. If only the world knew what you're looking for is in Jesus Christ, and yet here what you get is anything but, and it's lacking greatly. But here God will speak to us. What can I boldly ask of him as an intercessor? Well, white horse, red horse, black horse, pale horse, as we unfold these things, the first one is the white horse, verse 1 and 2. Now I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. Now, the first thing we see, of course, the thundering, because there's a storm that's coming, and here it starts to unfold. But maybe your translation, I'm reading New King James, I believe the Old King James says as well, "Come and see." Maybe your translation simply says come. Maybe your translation says go. And all of them are applicable and correct, because what is happening, the Lord is inviting John, come and see. This is what's happening next. And it's an invitation for us. Come and see how all these things unfold in these days. You won't be unknowing of what I'm doing, because I always tell my prophets before I do it, is the promise that he gives. But there's also a word, come, and it's going to be a word that's used, go. And as we start, we'll see it in all four of these where he says, come and see, or come and go. And he's calling these horses forward, come and now go. I send you forth. I call the white horse, this is all allegorical, but it unfolds into real things. Come and now go. I send out this white horse. Come and go as I send out this red horse and all that comes. Come, now go, this black horse. Come, go, now this pale horse. Nothing that unfolds on this earth is apart from his filter. Nothing can be done without him having full control over it. And what we read, may I always remind us, perfect love wrote this. A God of love who would become sin for us is the same God that's saying, come and go. And perfect love writes this, and he wishes none should perish. He's given opportunity to come at the time of grace. But can I also say this as well? Nothing comes upon my life, nothing comes upon your life that doesn't go through his filter, that he allows to come for however the reason, and he allows to go for whatever the purpose. And I can rest in that today, because there's just some things, I'll be honest, I don't understand. I just don't. And I can read 31,102 verses, and I can weave all the networks together and thread them into doctrine and theology, but there's still certain things I just don't understand this. And I mean, why are these things happening? I understand who you are. I understand your purposes and your will, but I still come sometimes like, these are hard things to receive. But what I can always come to, nothing comes through, nothing comes, and nothing goes apart from him saying, come and go. So we start with this first seal breaking. 4 seals are going to break before we're done here. And the first one we see is the white horse. And I'll be the first to say, when I started my reading of the Bible, and as I said, I started in Genesis. I said, hey, I know I've studied all these things so that I can succeed and excel at the Space Center in the industry. And I read books to the ceiling of aerodynamics and rocket engine, jet technology, and all those things. I get a job at the Space Center. Then I'm sitting there and go, okay, well, I've arrived. I've made it to that pinnacle point. And then I came to the place where I said, but this one book that I hear about, it's only this big compared to all the books to the ceiling that I read that speaks of who I am, why I was created, and who God is. And I believed there's a God my whole life. Well, maybe I should read the details of him. And so I read through this whole Bible, came into the Gospels, came and saw that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Wow, you died for me. My sin separated me because of my offense of all these things I read in the Old Testament. Now you're going to die for me and take my place so that I can be your son. I receive this. And that was, somewhere in the Gospels. Then after I got saved, it was like the next day, I go, well, I got to go to the book of Revelation, see how this all ends. And I would have done well to just keep reading because, I jump into Revelation, I start reading, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what? Whoa, how's this going? What's red, white, black, pale, seals, thunders, these type of things. And the point that I make is I jump into Revelation, then I rewound after I got through Revelation and finish reading through the whole Bible. But I, and maybe you, and still some today, that this white horse is actually Jesus Christ coming on the scene. And because it's coming to conquer and to conquer, and that's what Jesus, he's coming as a conqueror. And when I read that, I go, this is Jesus Christ. He's coming but it doesn't fit chronologically, and nor does it fit in the pieces that we read here. This white horse, he who rides, will be known, as we'll read through, the Antichrist. And we've read in Matthew 24, that we've studied this, the false Christ, the predecessors, the forerunners, all prepare the way for this final man, just as the prophets, and then the greatest prophet, John the Baptist, prepared the way for Jesus. So the Antichrist has all these little Antichrists preparing the way, diminishing and convincing and bringing people into these lies and delusions that the Antichrist will finalize at the very end of time. But here's what we see, a couple of differences. And I always say it, that if the devil had an original idea, it would die of loneliness. He comes up with nothing original. All that he can do is go, oh, okay, that's brilliant. That's better than anything I could come up with. So I'll just counterfeit it. So Jesus is going to come on a white horse. We're going to see the devil, the way he rises up in his white horse, if you would, as I'm going to come as this great man of peace. And that's what we see. Notice that he comes with a bow, but what's missing? Arrows. Any hunters, any marksmen, a bow without arrows brings you nothing. You accomplish nothing with it. You need the arrows to bring down whatever you're going after. And so we see this first picture that he's going to come like a man of peace, who we know, there's Jesus. He's the Prince of Peace. But here's some things that become real subtle and real different real quick is notice that he's wearing a crown. Now, we read in Revelation 19, the one and true and living. Now I saw heaven open, behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it, him was called faithful and true, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. See how the parallel, his eyes were like a flame, and on his head were many crowns. That word crowns there is diadem. It's the hard crown of metal, and it is imperishable. Now, the crown that is on this one's head, it's the word Stephanos in the Greek. It was the one that was perishable. It was made of wreaths. It would be given to the victor, the overcomer of the Olympian in the competition. So here's what we see as we start with this man who comes, this Antichrist. His power, his role, it's only temporary. And it's going to fade and it's going to perish quickly, but he will be given this power and authority for some time here. So we start seeing these parallels of who he is, and he's going to be able to come and 2 Corinthians 11, for such are false prophets, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself transforms into an angel of light. This man's going to come. And you got to understand, what have we been promised by God? We're out of here. I want you to imagine this room empties. All right. But imagine when you drive through Anne Arundel County and 10%, maybe 20% of the county has been taken. Firemen, police, soldiers, doctors, first responders, moms, dads. All the kids are gone, by the way. Praise the Lord. Age of accountability. But just imagine what this whole county is like, then the whole state, the whole country, then the whole world. And I've never, and I don't think we will until that day happens, is this body go or is this body just lay and fall to the ground? My prayer, if you want to intercede for me, is please just leave this, leave it. I'm done. It is fold up the tent. Give me something new. My friend Todd, he showed me a picture when he's in his 40s. He showed me a picture when he was in 19. And he goes, this is the body I want back at the rapture. But let's just say, whatever it is, let's just say bodies are left. Can you imagine how many days until a stench? How many days until a pestilence comes out of all these rotting flesh? Can you just imagine airplanes without pilots and cars without drivers? Can you imagine the chaos that's going to happen? The world is in absolute chaos, and the world is going to go, we need somebody who can fix this. We need somebody who has some type of promise that can come and bring a solution to these things. The world's in absolute chaos. And that's what the environment is as we start this first seal, because we're gone. And then these things start to open and happen. And he's going to come and he's going to be charismatic and he's going to do what no one else can do. And this is what we know that we know. In Daniel chapter 9 and Daniel chapter 8, all my notes, by the way, are posted with the audio and videos. So everything I put up and the outline and the flow, all these things are there for you to reread it. And Acts 17:11, be good Bereans, make sure everything I say, is in accordance with the scriptures. And he's going to do what no one else can do. He's going to, in the massive chaos, he's going to come and bring a peace. He's going to bring a calm to a world in chaos. I believe this man's alive because he has to be, because we're the generation, I'm sure of, I'm living it, that we're out of here. So he's alive somewhere, but he's not the charismatic leader that we see right now, because he's going to do what no one else can do. Daniel chapter 9. He's going to make a 7-year peace deal with Israel and all of its enemies. That's a man that's going to have some power. Everyone else is trying and failing. And here this man's going to be able to do it. And if you can do that in Israel after what no one has been able to do for 75 years, oh, surely you must be the man of the hour that can fix all of these type of things for us. And so there's going to be this gravitating to him. He's going to come. He's going to display himself as a man of peace. We're going to read that war's going to come quickly because his nature is to conquer and to be conquering. How quick war comes after the man of peace? Some will go, it'll start at the midpoint of the tribulation period. I think it's just weeks, and I'll talk about that in a second. It's not going to be long, because the nature and heart of this man and the nature and heart of the people. And let me keep building on that. But everything that he's doing is going to be a counterfeit. And so here's the place for us as we talk counterfeits. Everything he tries to do is some type of replica. Anybody know what this is? For the audio, I'm holding up the peace sign. Peace. You know where the peace sign came from? This is what the peace sign was. It was downward. It was Caesar Nero. He hated the Christians. He burned Rome, blamed it on the Christians, started the 10 waves of persecution that we've read here in our 7 churches. And that wave just continues and continues. He took the cross and he broke it and split it down. And that became his sign for what he wanted. He wanted to bring this upon these Christians and his hatred for them. It got inverted over time, and it's interesting to read how these things go. And it became that no, it's not war. It's a sign of peace, and he's going to come. But the point that I make is Caesar Nero surely was possessed by the devil himself, and this man, this Antichrist, eventually we're going to read he's going to become demon possessed. The devil's going to take up ownership of him, and he's going to willfully give himself that here for the moment of power on this earth, I let you take it, which Jesus said, I would never trade the temporal for the eternal. And that's a word for us. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And all these things will be added. There's nothing temporal on this earth that's worth trading for the eternal glory. Lord, that my life can just be a living sacrifice to you. But it gets flipped that, and I find it just significant for me when I say that is, he comes with this sign of peace, but really in his heart, it's like Caesar Nero. I want to kill, steal, and destroy anyone and everyone that I come. So he comes, and everything he's going to do is a counterfeit. And for us today, as we talk about counterfeit, we got to be on guard because the forerunners, all these little antichrists, are all around us. And they are all around us. And before I forget it, let me not miss. After the prophecy update last week, and I just love doing them because, it's prophecy updates for me. It keeps me sharp. Ray, you can't get lulled into the peace, and we're going to see that verse. Peace, and all is well. And that is definitely one of the Satan's great, that'll be in the war part. Lulls us into peace, all is well. So then he sets us up. And so I was like, man, we cover so much in the prophecy updates. Wow, we cover so much through Revelation. How do I summarize all this? What am I going to say to you? Hey, read the 500 pages of notes that we have. Hey, go look at every prophecy update we've done in the past 12 months. And I think everybody would be like, I don't have time for all that. And so it was just a blessing for me as I was praying. I was like, Lord, I'd like to just summarize this into something rather relatively concise. And Pastor Jack Hibbs, I think many of you know him, Calvary Chapel Chino Hills. He's out in California. He's in the hot seat this week because he came and endorsed a political candidate that so-called you're not allowed to do from the pulpit. But isn't that interesting? All the other 501c get to endorse their candidate. But he endorsed a candidate, a born-again brother running for Senate out there. And so all the ACLU and all the atheist group, and they'll still all be 100% fully intact at the rapture, just so, right? It's the church that's gone. All these type organization, they'll be alive and well to keep promoting their misrepresentation of the one true living God. But he wrote a book, and it turns out it's like a perfect summation of what I'm saying. It's called Days, but not spelled D-A-Y-S, D-A-Z-E, of Deception. Days of Deception. And he goes through all these deceptions and delusions that the Antichrist. He'll explain the Antichrist. And what I love about it and what I can say about it is everything that's in the book is everything we've taught.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the world.
You've been listening to Light of the Word. Pastor Ray's digging into the book of Revelation. As there's much to learn from this prophetic book of the Bible, Jesus is described in a peculiar way in this book. He has white hair and flaming eyes. He sounds fierce, but someone to be amazed by and revered. Revelation is a classic case of showing God's power, His authority, and how everything and everyone is in subjection to Him. His heart is for people to choose and accept His saving grace, but not everyone is willing to do so. And with that, there are grave consequences. If anything, this book of the Bible is a striking reminder that people need to be saved from themselves, and Jesus is the only way. Don't let an opportunity be missed to tell your friends, your neighbors, or your co-workers about Jesus' salvation. They may not want to hear it, but to reject what Jesus is offering is deadly. If you'd like to talk with us about today's teachings, you can call 443-995-3282. That's 443-995-3282. We have additional resources on our website, including a great devotional that goes alongside this Revelation series. Find out more at lightoftheword.info. This has been Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.
You have made